You're messing up my shot.
I'm messing up your shot.
I've been balling a shiny black steel jackhammer.
Okay, so I'm going to go over how I carve a spoon from wood only using an axe, saw, and a couple of knives from start to finish here. So first I've found a piece of wood, my favorite tree species here, the eastern red cedar. This is a section of a branch. It's about 3 inches in diameter, approximately maybe 2.5. So that's about the smallest I've worked with. Eventually what we're going to do is split this in half and then start carving from there. So right now I'm going to saw off a piece that's manageable to work with, and it's going to fit within the type of spoon that we're trying to make today. We'll just finish sawing this off here. Okay. So we got the nice purple color here, the eastern red cedar.
Shouldn't have done that.
And next, we're going to split it. Okay, so now that we got the wood split, just kind of looking at which side I like to have the bowl end of the spoon and which side the handle. And I think I'm going to make this side the bowl and this side the handle. We got some knots down here that we want to avoid in the bowl. So next, we're going to try to replicate this spoon of this kind of style, so it kind of matches up the length there, so that works and it's wide enough. So next we're going to try to get the angle of the spoon kind of from the bowl to the handle, and the way to do that is to kind of go 2/3 down the handle where the kind of center of the bowl or the end of the bowl will be, and we're going to make a saw cut there to chop down to get that angle. So of the thickness there, probably about 1/3 of the way down. Okay, so we've sawed about a little bit more than halfway down. And essentially we're going to follow that an angle line like here, essentially down to there, and then we'll come back and cut the axe to have that kind of profile to the spoon. Hopefully. Let's see. Okay, so back to the chopping block. I'm just going to axe down towards that line. Parallel. So that saw cut I made will help stop the axe from falling all the way down and splitting the length of the wood at that depth. Roll over it. Okay, so we've roughly got the wood cut down to that angle, to that line. So I'm just going to mirror that shape on the back side here and just try to trim it out that way. Okay, that'll work for now. Now we're going to come along the back side here and kind of angle it down or up that way. Follow that line. Just roughing it out right now. We'll refine this later. So now I'm going to come down this way. To make that cut, we have to kind of change our angle a little bit. So essentially, we're going to hold it this way, just axe down towards the line here carefully. Trying to keep that angle straight all the way down. Okay, so if we look at the profile here, we kind of roughly have the shape I was going for. We got a low point here and kind of rising back up. Didn't keep it perfectly symmetrical on the other side, but we'll work on that. So here where this line is still, saw cut is still, we got present. We need to cut down to that from both sides. And essentially right here we have a change in the direction of the grain. So here, cutting in this direction from on the left side of the grain, the saw cut will be with the grain, but on the right hand side, cutting in this direction will be with the grain. That's going to be a point that is difficult to deal with, and I'll talk about that more later. So I'm just going to finish this up here. Edging it towards that point. So that's where we're at right now. We've got that line mostly cleaned up. Again, this is just kind of roughed out. We've got that general shape that we're somewhat happy with. So now I'm going to go and draw the outline of the spoon on the surface here, so I've got some marks to cut down towards, and we'll start making it more into a spoon shape. Okay, so now we're going to draw out the outline of the spoon on the spoon blank here that we've just roughed out. Now, unfortunately, I've noticed there's a hole right in the center from like, I don't know if it's like a knot or something, or a twig that was coming out from the central part of the branch. And that's unfortunately right in the center of where the bowl is going to be ending and the handle begins. So that could be a problem, but we're going to go ahead and go forward with it anyway. Can't go to the left or right because it's right in the center, so we'll just work with it and go through the process here. So I normally kind of look at the width and thickness here and kind of see where I want the shape of the bowl I want. Based off what we had, doesn't really matter, we can kind of make up whatever we want, but I'm just going to draw kind of like this asymmetrical pattern I've been into recently. Like a spatula. Okay, so again, just roughing it out. This is going to change most likely. I'm well said and done with. Okay, so we've got the bowl the neck and the handle and all mapped out here. Now we need to cut it down to these lines. So what we do here is identify the thinnest part of the neck and handle and just make some lines here. We're also going to make a saw cut down to this point here on each side. That way when I go to split the wood with the axe, it's going to, and I come down from this direction to be able to get this angle, it's going to stop right here and not continue down into the bowl and crack it all the way through. So go ahead and make these saw cuts now. Just go down to the line. Roughly, trying to make it even. Okay, the other side. Okay. Alright, so those are the stop cuts that we just made. It's going to stop the axe from falling down and cracking it through the rest of the spoon. So back to the chopping block here. We'll rough out the handles shape. Okay, normally I'll start from the top here and just go down and get the line of the handle done. Trying to keep it at a flat plane here, not angled to one other side. I'm going to flip the spoon around, do the same thing. You can't see this, but chop it down to the line. Okay, that's good enough. Okay, so now we've got it as thin as we want it here, but we need to go thinner. So I'm going to turn the spoon upside down and follow that black line here down to where I've made that first stop cut. So if the grain is straight, we can put it right down and just chop down like that. Just drop the axe down and follow the grain and bring it down to that line there. Okay. Same thing on the other side. Tap it down. Let's follow the grain for that stop cut. Okay. We've got the handle roughed out there. Not very symmetrical, but none of the spoons I make really are. So now we're going to turn it around and just follow that black line that I've outlined down from the top again here. And at this point, it's important to kind of support the handle. So we've got it kind of thin there, so we'll just use this little thing here, notched out, follow that down. And okay, so we've got that shape there. Do the same thing on the other side. A little bit more difficult there. So I don't have much to support the handle. That's the way I've got this block set up. Good enough. Thin out the back of this a little bit. That profile. Same thing here. Thin out the back side of the spoon down to that angle. Okay, stop there. Alright, now we'll shape the top of the bowl of the spoon here. Decreasing the thickness, less to do with the knife. Axe. Okay. Now, trimming off the ends here is always a little bit difficult. If you just cut straight across, you're likely to make some cracks. Unfortunately, so we kind of just do some kind of rotating cuts here. Use the axe up and down and rotate the handle. Okay. It's the roughed out shape that we've come up with from that half a split of a branch. Now we got into a pretty much shape of a spoon. A little bit more refining. I could do more refining with the axe, but at this point, it's safest just to go with the knife. I might come back and thin out some more of this. Actually, I'll do that right now. I'll thin out some more of the handle with the axe here. I want to have a shape that comes up, kind of cuts out this area here. Okay, starting to run all the way down the handle. We'll come back to the other end. A little bit better. It's best now to stop messing around with the axe and just go with the knife. Okay, so now that we've got the rough shape of the spoon axed out, we're going to move on to more smaller tools, more refined tools. We're going to use two different types of knives. The first is the straight blade that I use. It's the Mora 106. It's shaping most of the handle and the neck of the spoon will be done by this. And then to carve out the bowl of the spoon, we use this hook knife, which is also, it's from the same company. Essentially, they've taken this knife and then it's curved up the blade into a hook shape. So from this angle here, we've got the sharp end here, and I essentially just use it to scoop out the wood for the bowl to make it a nice shape. So that's generally where I like to start, is to shape the bowl from the top, carve out all of the wood there to make it however deep I feel like it needs to be. It's best to start from the top instead of the bottom, so you don't end up with too shallow of a surface to work with to make that bowl. So to do this, I'm going to hold the spoon from its handle and rest it against my leg here, so I've got a nice solid surface. And essentially the grip I'm making is just opening and closing my hand and keeping the knife in the same position, using my thumb as a fulcrum point. I put my knuckles against my leg here so it's nice and controlled, and I'm not going to slip and cut any of these important blood-carrying vessels here. So just essentially I'm opening and closing my fist with my knuckles mostly against my leg there. A lot of small scooping motions to be able to start to take out the wood on the bowl here. And this takes quite a while here. So we'll just get a couple of rough scoops out here and get the idea, and we'll come back when it's a little farther along. So again, kind of the benefit of using this hook blade, this curved knife, is to be able to cut across the grain. So the grain is running this way. The grain is running this way, and I'm scooping with the knife this way to cut across the grain. It's not possible with a straight blade. So this is kind of one of the reasons why we use this blade. The shape of this blade is the way it is. And there's knives of different kind of hook sizes for different bowl shapes. I could probably definitely use a bigger one on this, but this is all I have. So this takes more cuts to get to where you're going to be. Okay, so this is the process. Again, it takes probably 20 minutes to get this part done at least. So we'll come back when we have a little bit more of this done. Okay, so we've got the bowl of the spoon all carved out with the hook knife. Not sure how well you can see that, but it's maybe an inch, half an inch in depth there. We'll round it out. So now I'm going to move on to shaping out the back of the bowl and really working on this critical point here where we made that stop cut. We've got that change in direction. You'll see why that is an issue here shortly. We're going to work off, just refining the shape of this. We've got it roughed out, but now we can make it a little bit more smooth and maybe a little bit more symmetrical, but I don't think that's really going to happen. Okay, so let's start working on shaping out this handle. We've got a little bit of excess wood on this side. So the grain is running down in this direction, so I need to cut in that direction, and that's going to be towards myself. So what we do here is you usually keep your arms nice and tight and use your backhand to just kind of push your hand here and carve the wood in a controlled manner that way. Again, just following the lines mostly that I've drawn and shaping it a bit better here. Okay, not too thin. It's always so right at that line on this side, that stop cut that I made earlier. So now, if I go past that line in this same direction, it's now going to get underneath the grain, pick it up, and tear it, and not necessarily cut it. So we work down towards that line, and we're going to switch directions and come back the other way to shape it. Try to make it nice and smooth. Alright, work on the other side here, taking out the neck. Go too thin on the neck there, but okay, so you know, come back when it's later, when it's dry, and really tighten that point up. So I've got it really thin here, it looks like, from this angle. But it's okay, it's still pretty sturdy because we've got at least this much thickness, so we don't want to change any of those dimensions in either way, or we might run into some trouble. Now if you look at the thickness here, just from the profile, I want to try to thin this out and make it more of a slimmer look. It's not that deep, so try to shape out the back side of the bowl. And this is still going in that downward direction from this point. Cut towards yourself. Try to thin this out.
The baby catbird. Hear it?
Is that a baby?
Well, no, not that. You hear it begging though.
Oh, yeah, yeah. Okay, so we've got that side thinned out a little bit more. And then following this angle, let's do the same thing. Just thin this part out here so it's not so chunky. So, pretty much right from the center of the bowl here, we've got another kind of change in direction to where this is going to be with the grain here from this point down, but up from that point is going to be with the grain. So following this line down with the grain, we're going to move up to thin out this, carve up, but here we're still down, so we'll carve towards ourselves. Try to keep this symmetrical. Okay, that's fine for now. Always work for find it later. Now I'll thin out this section. I'm making this push cut here, then pushing my thumb, keep my hand, my knife hand kind of fixed, and just using my thumb to push the whole thing. Have the most control over the depth and direction of the cut. Still have a lot of thickness on the end here when you take that down. The sides are looking pretty good. This one follows right up to the edge of the bowl. Not a lot of thickness there. Good shape. A little bit more of a forceful cut. And out the back. Get closer though, I need to be more careful. Taking off a little bit at a time. It's fine for now. And a little bit more of a refined shape. But we still left some thickness there, so we can make this deeper. If we want to make this more into a ladle, we still have room to go down, which might be kind of cool for this one. We got the neck good enough for the knife work for now. Don't want to mess with that, but now we've got a lot of thickness in the handle. And so when I make these spoons, I like to, if it's a serving spoon or a stirring spoon, we want to have the handle part above the plane of the bowl to help, just to make it more comfortable. If you were to actually have some liquid or something in here, it would be nice and sturdy, but you've got a good kind of angle towards it. That's called the crank. That's what we made that stop cut for. It's essentially like this, but this is how it will be held. So just to kind of refine the shape and to kind of make it a little bit more pleasing to hold in the hand, we'll thin out some of this section here by probably doing something like this. Yeah, maybe something like that. We'll try for that. So, could use the saw again. I mean, the axe would be a lot quicker. So maybe we'll do that. So, in order to do that, I'll just make a stop cut right here and make it just a little bit down in depth, and just axe from here down to there, and then scoop it out a little bit more with the knives. So let's go back to the chopping block and try this and see if we don't mess up our spoon. Okay, so I've got a rough outline of the shape here on the one side that I managed to do with the axe, but decided to stop, so I'm just going to follow that back on that same shape on this side. Here I'm going to use that same kind of push cut I mentioned. Keep my knife, hand and arm fixed, and just pushing it with my thumb. Following the lines down there. Try to keep it parallel across the spoon. Because I've made that stop cut, I have another change in direction that I'll have to work on smoothing out. So this would be down. Okay, so you see we've got that shape. Let me just get rid of this. Okay, good enough for the knife. So we've got that shape I was going for. So now when you hold it in your hand, this kind of knuckle here has a little bit more of a comfortable feel. So we'll work on kind of smoothing that out through here. Maybe do a little indent here to have a place for the thumb to rest a little bit easier. I'm just smoothing out, rounding out the sides here. Getting close though. Alright, so about 24 hours have gone by. I spent probably another 10 or 15 minutes after the video went off just refining the shape of the spoon. So we've gone from a piece of red cedar like this, and we're ending up with a pretty well-shaped spoon like this. So yeah, 24 hours going by, it's dried down a little bit, and in that time I've also used the knife to smooth out a lot of those transitions we pointed out earlier. But also I've finished it by sanding it. So that's kind of there's two camps in spoon making, people that sand their spoons and people that use a knife to just finish it really nice and smooth. I like to sand it because that's just kind of where my skills are, my skill level is right now. So I like to sand the spoons to make them really nice and smooth, especially if it's going to be going into your mouth or something. So from this point here, I'm just going to finish it with a drying oil, mineral oil in this case, so it's a food grade mineral oil. I'll coat it on the spoon and let that soak in there, and then do a couple of treatments of that as it dries. Okay, so I'm going to be finishing off 2 spoons today. The one that we've been working on the entire video, out of that red cedar, and the one I started working on and finished right after I got this one done. This is out of juniper that I have a couple of other spoons made out of. So we'll do the reveal on both of these, as I like to say, when we put the oil on there, and the colors and the grain, it's going to come out really, really well once we put the oil on there. So we can see I still have that hole from the knot that was in there, right in there, so I'll have to think of a way to plug that up that's going to be lasting and hold up to temperatures. So let's just go ahead and pour on the oil. Again, this is a food grade mineral oil used to treat bamboo cutting boards. Other people have used raw linseed oil, tung oil, other kind of oils like that. So you can see as the oil that's on there really just brings out that really nice color of this heartwood of the cedar. So just spread it all around here. Okay. Nice coating on there. Alright. It's pretty good. Might be a lot of glare on the camera, but it's good colors. Okay, so let's move on to this juniper spoon, more of a eating spoon or a small serving spoon. It says really interesting grain patterns on it. Not sure if the camera's going to be able to pick it up, but nice dark color. Okay, that's it. This will get soaked up into the wood, and from there I'll use another piece of harder wood to kind of rub against it to burnish it, to make it a nice kind of a satin finish to it, and it'll be ready to go from there pretty much. Okay, so that's the start to finish process of how I make a spoon. I really enjoy making spoons. I hope you've enjoyed watching the video, and hopefully there'll be more to come, both spoons and videos, from our new Southern Revelry workshop.